A man wins $27 million. 5 years later, he is filing for bankruptcy. This is not a rare story. It is closer to the norm. Roughly a third of lottery winners eventually declare bankruptcy, often within just a few years of their windfall. The headlines call it bad luck, bad advisors, or bad decisions. But something much older is actually running the show, something wired into your brain long before money existed at all. Here is the strange part. The problem is not that lottery winners suddenly become reckless. The problem is that their brain treats sudden abundance exactly the way it evolved to, and that response was built for a completely different world. For most of human history, food did not arrive steadily. It arrived in unpredictable bursts. A successful hunt. A tree suddenly heavy with fruit. A herd passing through. Anthropologists studying hunter-gatherer societies have long observed a consistent pattern around these moments of abundance. When food showed up, groups did not ration it carefully for the future. They feasted, immediately and completely, often sharing enormous amounts with the entire group in a single sitting. Why would evolution favor eating everything right away instead of saving some for later? Because saving meat in a world without refrigeration meant losing it anyway, to spoilage, to scavengers, to rot. There was no bank account for food. There was no way to store abundance for a rainy day. The only rational strategy, in that environment, was to consume it now, while it was good, and trust that another burst of abundance would eventually come again. This created a deep behavioral pattern that researchers call the feast-or-famine response. Sudden plenty triggers a psychological green light to spend, share, and consume immediately, because for nearly all of human evolutionary history, that was the only sensible thing to do with unexpected abundance. Now take that ancient wiring and hand it $27 million. Your brain does not have a separate program for unexpected lottery windfall. It runs the same ancient feast script it always has. The money feels less like a resource to be carefully managed over decades and more like a kill that needs to be shared and enjoyed before it spoils. Except money does not spoil. It just runs out, quietly, while your brain keeps insisting the good times will keep coming. Psychologist and economist Richard Thaler documented a related pattern called mental accounting, the tendency to treat money differently depending on where it came from, rather than treating every dollar as equally valuable. Money earned slowly through years of work gets guarded carefully. Money that arrives suddenly, unearned, and unexpected gets mentally filed into a completely different category, one your brain treats as almost disposable. Thaler's research showed people spend windfall money far more freely than income they work steadily to earn, even when the dollar amounts are identical. This explains something that puzzles most outside observers. Lottery winners rarely make one single catastrophic purchase. Instead, they make dozens of individually reasonable-sounding decisions. A new house for themselves. A car for a sibling. Paying off a friend's debt. Funding a family member's business idea. Each decision alone looks generous, even wise. But each one draws from a mental account your brain has already quietly labeled as found money, a category it does not guard the way it guards a paycheck. There is a social layer to this too. In small ancestral groups, sudden abundance came with an unspoken social obligation. If your hunt succeeded and the tribes did not, sharing wasn't optional generosity, it was survival insurance for a future day when the roles would reverse. Anthropologists call this reciprocal altruism, and it runs so deep that modern lottery winners often report feeling intense, almost inescapable pressure to give money to relatives, old friends, and even distant acquaintances who resurface the moment news of the win spreads. Saying no to these requests feels, on some old evolutionary level, like breaking a survival contract your ancestors could never afford to break. There is a second layer to reciprocal obligation worth noting. Researchers studying financial windfalls have found that winners frequently describe the requests from others as relentless, arriving by phone, by letter, even in person from people they had not spoken to in years. The instinct to comply is not simply politeness. It is an ancient social contract firing exactly as designed, just aimed at a modern situation it was never built to handle at this scale. None of this means lottery winners are foolish. It means they are running a hunter-gatherer resource management program inside a financial system that punishes exactly that program's assumptions. Feast-or-famine instincts assume abundance is temporary and unpredictable, so use it now. Mental accounting assumes unearned money matters less, so spend it more freely. Reciprocal obligation assumes sharing today buys survival tomorrow, so give generously. Every one of these instincts made perfect sense for tens of thousands of years. None of them account for a bank balance that can hit zero and simply stay there, with no future hunt coming to refill it. Which raises an uncomfortable question about anyone, lottery winner or not. Every time a large unexpected sum lands in your hands, a bonus, an inheritance, a tax refund, the same ancient feast instinct quietly switches on. You are not weak-willed if that money burns a hole in your pocket faster than your regular paycheck does. You are running software built for a world where hoarding was pointless and sharing was survival. The tragedy of lottery winners is not that they got unlucky twice. It is that the very same wiring that once helped your ancestors survive scarcity is precisely what struggles hardest with abundance.